right, ladies and gentlemen, very pleased with how well you did on some things yesterday. So we're going to move on and do our, we're going to work on factoring trinomials. And our trinomials have to be where we have a coefficient of 1. So the first thing, I'm going to save this part. We're going to do the equation piece after we're done practicing all the factoring. So one thing that I do want you to know, or to add in here, is that you want to write your trinomials in standard form. So you want the x squared standard, hope I spelled it right, sorry. So you want to have your x squared written first. Well, I want to actually show you an example and remind you of some things we did before. If I had a problem like this, x plus 2 times x minus 4. Right, we worked on those in the first part of the chapter. And when I do that, I'm going to take, and I multiply through by my x squared, x times negative 4 is negative 4x, 2x, and then minus 8. And when I put the like terms together, x squared minus 2x minus 8. Well, the thing I want you to think about, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking for factors of our last number. Right? Our last number was 8. Factors of 8 are 2 and 4. 2 and 4. Right? That's where they come from. And then they have to either add or subtract, and you're going to look at this number right in front of that last. And if it's a negative, they have to subtract. Negative, subtract, positive, they have to add. So these would have to subtract to give me a negative 2. Well, negative 4 and 2 gives me a negative 2. All right, so that's really what we're going to be doing. And we're going to make ourselves a little chart. And we're going to be looking for factors, and then there's sum. All right, so let's see here. So I need factors of 20, because this is written in standard form. And when you factor a trinomial, you're going to end up with 2 binomials. So I need factors of 20. So my factors of 20 are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. I need them to add up to give me 9. So we're going to add these together. So 1 and 20 gives me 21. That's not going to work. 2 and 10 gives me 12. That's not going to work. 4 and 5 gives me 9. These are the factors that I need. So when we set up our parentheses, each one gets an x, or t, or whatever the variable might be. And then you use your factors, 4 and 5. So they added to give me a positive 9, and 4 times 5 is 20. So if I were to go through and multiply that through again, then you're going to see that it's going to work. I'm going to show you how to confirm your answers on the calculator tomorrow in class, because it's too hard to do here when I don't have it up on my screen. All right, so let's take a look at this one. First thing I want to do with b is I want to write it so it's in standard form. T squared plus 10t plus 9. All right, I need my factors and sums. So I need my factors of 9. 1 and 9, 3 and 3. They have to add, that's a positive, they have to add to give me 10. 1 and 9 is 10, 3 and 3 is 6. So the factors I need are 1 and 9. So when I set it up, right, these factor into 2 binomials. Because here again is the example. I want to be able to go in between these 2 forms. X squared minus 2x minus 8 and x plus 2x minus 4. All right, so they each get an x. 1 and 9, we split up the factors. They're adding to give me a positive, so they both get pluses. All right, let's try another one. So I have a 12 at the end. It's written in standard form. I have a 12 at the end. So I need factors of 12 that add, whatever's in front of that last term. So factor, sum. So my factors of 12, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. All right, find out the sum. 13, 8, 7. Well, it told me that it has to add to be 8. Okay, so when I put in my parentheses, they each get an X. This is the set I need. But they have to add to give me a negative 8. So when they have to add to give me a negative, they both are negative. And this is one of the harder parts, is trying to make sure you get your signs correct in the parentheses. But again, you can always go through and do a double check by multiplying through, and then I'll show you how to check it on your graphing calculators in class. All right, let's try another one. So here I have, I need to write this one in standard form. So m squared minus 22m plus 21. So I need factors of 21 that add, right? The sign in front of your last term tells you if they have to add or subtract. Eventually we'll get to some subtracting. So factors of 21, 1 and 21, 3 and 7. Get my sum, that's 22, and that's 10. This number is what they have to add to. They have to add to give me a negative 22. So when I put them in parentheses, x, x, here's the factors that I need, 1 and 21. When they add to give you a negative, they're both negative. Okay, let's try another one. So this time we have factors of 15, but the sign in front tells me they have to subtract. So when I do my chart, I'm going to have factor and not sum, but I'm going to have difference. So my factors of 15, 1 and 15, 3 and 5. Give you your difference. So I always do my difference so that they're positive. So 15 minus 1 is 14. 5 minus 3 is 2. Well, the problem tells me that they have to subtract to give me a 2. Okay. So they each get an X. I have 3 and 5. Now, the problem tells me, if you look up here, the problem tells me that that 2 has to be a positive because it's a plus 2. So when you have subtracting, it's either both the same or both different. All right, and we're going to make a little chart of that in a second. But factoring, so they have to be, it has to be a positive 2. Well, if I do positive 3 and negative 5, that would give me a negative 2. So it has to be positive 5, negative 3. Because positive 5 and negative 3 gives me a positive 2. Okay. I know it probably sounds like I'm going fast, but here I need factors of 24 that subtract. This tells me that they have to subtract. So I need factors and I need difference. All right, so let's make our list first. So 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. And now I'm going to come up with the difference. So 23, 10, 5, 2. Now I'm going to look at the rest of the problem to see, well, what do they have to subtract to? They have to subtract to give me a negative 2. So these are the factors I need. All right. So when I set up my parentheses, they each get an X. We have 4 and 6 are the factors I'm needing. This time it needs to subtract to give me a negative, which means the bigger number needs to be negative. And then the positive would go with the 4. All right, let's see. What do I have over here? No, we're not doing our equation solving. Again, I'm going to save that part for the end. So let's try, I don't know if you have more room down here at the bottom, but I'm going to extend my page. Maybe I'm going to extend it. There we go. Sorry. Okay. I want you to try to fit this in. So we're going to have a chart here, okay? And I'm going to write it out in using A's and B's for a second. So we have x squared plus bx plus c is our general form. This right here, okay, that part right there, if it is a plus c, okay, then the numbers have to, your factors have to add. Right, your factors have to add. You need a sum. If it says minus c, then they have to subtract. You need the difference. All right, so if it says plus c, your factors add. Minus c, your factors subtract. This part tells you what they have to add or subtract to. So if it's a plus C, you have two choices. They're either both positive or they're both negative. Those are your only two choices. If it's a subtracting C, then it has to be one of each. And you have to figure out which order does it go in. And that's going to depend on the B part. If it's a positive B and it was an adding, then they're both pluses. If it's a minus B and they're adding, then it's one of each. If it's a subtracting and it's positive, but that time you only have one choice and you just have to figure out which one is bigger. I'm not sure if I explained that well. Sorry. So, again, you might need to watch this more than one time. This is brand new stuff. You've never done anything like this before, and that's okay. So, any questions, bring them to class, and I will see you on, well, in this case, on Monday. Have a good night.